Two, a conversation on credit. I'm Tanisha Landry, president of Tau Beta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Tau Beta Omega chapter's Target 3 focuses on building your economic legacy by emphasizing financial planning, asset accumulation, and wealth building through savings, investments, debt management, and improving credit. Tonight, we're excited to partner with Eric Clay of Operation Hope to help coach our community on maximizing and managing credit to help build generational wealth. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Tau Beta Omega's Economic Legacy Chairman, Donia Horton. Donia?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Madam President. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone so much for joining us this evening. We are so excited as Target 3 putting this on. As Tanisha just mentioned, this is a topic that we are extremely passionate about, of making sure that we understand how credit works for us, how it can work against us, and making sure that we have these uncomfortable conversations and become more aware of how we can really use these tools to maximize and manage our credit. And so it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Eric Clay, who will be with us this evening. Eric is a senior financial well-being coach with Operation Hope. Eric's skills and background include 10 years of managerial experience and over 21 years of related experience in the loan and banking industry, as well as substantial knowledge of understanding the importance of credit. Eric is a native of Los Angeles who thrives on sharing the knowledge of financial literacy throughout the community and beyond. So we are so happy to have him with us. We're going to be sharing the evening. This is going to be a very informal conversation, so please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We also have the ability to allow you to speak, to unmute. So you can kind of raise your hand if that is something you'd rather kind of speak your question instead. You do not have to wait to the end. You can kind of just jump right in and we can make this very conversational. We want to make sure that we are leaving this evening fully informed and ready to go take charge of our credit. All right, so without further ado, I will pass it over to Mr. Eric Clay.
Well, thank you, Ms. Donia. I appreciate that. And first and foremost, I want to thank Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Tau Beta Omega chapter for having me on this call tonight, this evening, for a conversation on credit. Your music was good, Ms. Donia. Music makes me go, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. And just a little bit about Operation Hope and myself before we get started. Operation Hope was founded 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. We're on our 30-year anniversary. We were founded after the Rodney King uprising, and that's coming up to when the verdict hit. You know, if you were around in LA 30 years ago, you know what that looked like and what that felt like. I was a graduate of Dorsey High School, so I'm living in this area where we were heavy hit during the pandemic, during the uprising. So I remember it vividly. Okay, with Operation Hope, we want to specialize in financial literacy, which is now a buzzword. 30 years ago, it wasn't even a buzzword, but financial literacy. We want to teach folks the importance of credit, the importance of becoming a small business owner or a business owner, the importance of owning homes, duplex, legacy, dignity. We want to do that. We go into classrooms, we teach children in grades 4 through 12 the importance of the topics I just discussed. Nobody came to me at Dorsey and told me about financial literacy. I had to find out the hard way. So that's what we do. We've been doing it for a while. I've been at the organization for 20 years. Okay, I even had hair when I started here. So it's amazing how 20 years has gone by. I've been everything at Operation Home, from security to area vice president, national program manager. But when the pivot happened for me in 2015, I was working in Long Beach. Operation Hope has a model, what we call a Hope Inside. We have our facility inside banks. We used to have brick and mortars, but through the years that wasn't financially stable. So now we are inside banks. We're inside UPS. We're inside Walmart, wherever. Hope Inside is the model. So I was Hope Inside Union Bank in Long Beach for a while. And Molina Healthcare bought out that building, which was on 19th and Atlantic in Long Beach. So Union Bank didn't be as solid, said, hey, if you find somewhere for Eric, we'll pay for Eric. So I don't know how it happened, but they found Compton College. So when I got to Compton College, I looked around, I'm used to my office, I'm used to my conference room, I'm used to the perks, and they set me in financial aid at a bench or a table with other people. I'm like, this is not gonna work. The marriage that's what happens. We had a good ride, time to part, but that was in 2015. I'm still there in 2022, which means that it worked. Not only did it work well. It pivoted me in how I teach and how I am as a parent, as a man. It just is amazing to be able to articulate the importance of freshmen coming out of high school, not knowing anything about credit and watching their credit score go from the high 6s to the 7s just by knowledge. And then it's just very impactful. So I love what I do, very passionate about what I do. We were having a conversation earlier. Everybody has their own opinion on credit. So you can talk to another credit person. They're going to tell you something probably different than I'm going to tell you. The reason why I'm animated about what I do is because I do this on a daily basis. So I see it. I don't hear about it. I don't read about it. I see it. So I'm going to give you my opinion, and we're going to go from there and have an engaged conversation. Next slide, please. So before I jump into credit, we have to backtrack. A couple of things I want to talk about real quick. First, I want to talk about stress. Let's manage our stress, y'all. Okay. And I'm going to be transparent. I'll be 60 next year. That's 60. We don't even talk about 59. 59 don't get no shine when you're almost 60. That's what I'm learning. So I look at things differently now. It's like almost like if you ever watched the movie The Matrix, when stuff starts slowing down, you're like, wow, I'm really seeing it. I still got a lot to learn, still young at heart, but stress is one of the things that are that we can avoid. There's certain things we can avoid. As I get older, then obviously folks that are older than me are going to transition. That's stressful, but that's life. We have to deal with that. The stress I'm talking about is if I have a bill collector calling me and I don't have the money to pay them, I'm not going to stress about that. I'm just not, okay? If I had the opportunity to pay Macy's or eat, what am I going to do? I'm going to eat. No, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to dine, okay? And Macy's can get their money when they get their money. That's called life, okay? So stress, we want to manage it. If you think about it, people who work a 9 to 5, when you ask them how their weekend was too short. It's Monday, we can't wait till Friday. So let me get this straight. The weekend's too short. It's Monday, we can't wait till Friday. When are we living? So let's live every single day we can. If you got to take a minute out, an hour out, 2 hours, whatever. Miss Donia played that music. I said, because I wanted to play music, because usually I play music. And she said she got it. She got me because it puts me in a good space. And I love music. If I can't hear the music, then something's wrong. So I preach this and I do this every day. Ladies, sometimes it's hard for me to even get out of bed, but I do it and I want to manage my stress. I'm a single parent. I have a son. My son used to walk around when he was younger with his head down on Sunday. Son, what's wrong? I got school on Monday. I'm like, bro, it's Sunday. Let's enjoy Sunday and worry about Monday on Monday. When I know I had a good weekend is I want to walk in Monday at work and forget my log on. Like, what was my log on? I just left Friday. That's when you had a good weekend. Anyway, so we're going to manage that and that's going to help, okay? Moving forward to that, because it's going to segue to your budget. Slay your finances. Beautiful. I love that. Part 1, I wish I was there for part 1, but slay your finances means you have to understand your finances, which means your budget. Understand what's coming in, what's going out. Okay. For me, when I sit down with a client, I just ask them about a budget. I just ask them certain questions: how much you spending on rent, mortgage, food and groceries, all of that. And by the way they answer, I know if their budget's tight. If they don't answer tight, that means all I'm just doing is making you just have your budget be a little tighter. Okay. I tell them, because I don't know what makes people go. I'm not going to tell somebody you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, because I don't know what makes you go. And we have to do what makes us go. We have to take care of ourselves first so we can take care of others. So I just encourage folks to look at their phone bill. Look, if you haven't visited your cell phone bill. I just did the other day and I just saved $30 just by going paperless, which I do anyway. So why did I know that? Because I wasn't reading my bills. Like, hey, if you stop getting these bills mailed to you because you're old, then why don't you go paperless and we'll save you $30 right off the rip. Then I looked at my cable. Do I need HBO 1 through 1,000? No, I don't, because I don't even watch TV anyway. So let's reimagine that. So then I start reimagining what I'm doing, insurance and all that. And next thing you know, I'm saving. And then I get in the habit of saving. Savings is hard, getting a good habit. I research this all the time. So what I'm hearing is 66 days is the average way to make a good habit. But I've also heard the 90-21 rule, where if you do something for 21 days over a 90-day period, that I hear it all. But 66 days, give or take, anyway, if you do something over and over again, it becomes a good habit. Lord knows we create bad habits, but we want to create these good habits as well. So it's on autopilot. And like, what are we in April? When we started, I'm sure some of us said we're going to change our diet, we're going to work out. It takes time. We're not going to have instant success, but we want to be automatic where we're just not missing the gym or we're sticking to our diet. It takes sacrifice. So look at it. One of the quick hints I say, look at what you're spending on eating out a month. Write it down, look at your accounts, however you want to do it. Old school, they have apps, and you'll be amazed how much you spent on eating out, and that way you can start there for savings. So once we understand our finances, what's coming in, what's going out, make that level, and now we can understand this game of credit. All right, credit is simply a game, and we have to understand the rules, and the rules are always changing. Okay, when I look at credit, I think about opportunity. And the conversation earlier was Dave Ramsey says, cut up your credit cards, you don't need credit. But if you have the cash, because credit is a luxury, if you have the cash, then by all means, be cash. But if you don't and you need credit, then we need to understand the rules. So our credit profile, our credit narrative, as I call it, can shine. I'm going to say this, credit does not control my life controls my credit, which means if I have a 700 credit score in April, and I have a 500 credit score in August, I'm still the same person. Something happened in my life that prevented me from making payments, what I said I was going to do, and nobody can control that. Life can pivot in a second, all right? And we're going to go into survival mode before we go into pay our bills mode. So when I look at a credit report, I'm not looking at you didn't pay your bill. I'm kind of looking at the story like something happened, especially since we're coming out of we're in an endemic. I don't know what we're in right now. We're just in flux. But we had 2 years, ladies, that we've lost a lot of things. Prayers go out to the people who've been affected by that. Prayers go out to the Ukraine. There's so much going on in this world that's affecting us. It's hard to wrap our head around it. But when we want to sit down and focus on what we need to do to make our credit narrative good, to make our credit score shine, because that's what lenders are looking at. They're looking to see how credit worthy you are. They don't care about what life is. They just want to see that score. So I start out with that aspect. The first thing I look at when I look at the credit is the score. And the second thing I look at as we go on is I look at your revolving debt. Now, next slide, please, Donia. So credit is based on a scoring system. Now, there's scoring systems out there, okay? FICO score is what 90% of lenders look at. So that's what I teach on. That's what I talk about. FICO simply stands for Fair Isaac and Company. William Fair, Earl Isaac, back in 1956, developed this scoring algorithm. Mathematician, engineer, got together up north, did what they had to do. In 1958, they sold it. So Fair Isaac, they took the last names, called it Fair Isaac Company. We shortened it to FICO. FICO is about worth about revenues about 300 billion right now. 300 billion. The Fairs and the Isaacs are they're eating well. So that's the scoring algorithm, but there's other scoring algorithms as well. You got the Beacon scoring algorithm, which is what TransUnion and Equifax use. You have the Vantage scoring system. 3 bureaus. The slide before that was Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are your 3 bureaus. There's no fourth, okay? They have their own scoring algorithm. So the FICO scoring algorithm ranges from 300 to 850. As you see on the screen, 730 is excellent credit. Sometimes now they're saying 740. So they're always moving these numbers. But if you're in the 700s, you're good, okay? So I'm gonna tell you what makes up a credit score, the whole pie. If we go to the next slide, please. So you really want to look at what is going into it. So if you look at debt utilization and how you use it. So those words, just look at 30 and 35, 65% is how much you owe and how you're paying your bills. That's 65% of your credit, okay? The length of history is 15%. And one of Yasaras was explaining to me that a bank had closed her out and that hurt her. And they can do that. Ms. Brittany raised her hand, that hurt her. And can they do that? Yes, they can, because when we signed that agreement form from Chase to Wells Fargo to Macy's, really none of us really read that fine print. And we're giving these credit card agencies and we're giving these lenders a lot of leeway of what they can do and what they can't do. And I'll talk a little bit about that later, but 30 to 35%, 65% of what we're doing and how we're doing it. 10% is the type of accounts. So you have two types of credit: revolving credit, which are your credit cards; installment credit, which is our debt, which is your student loan, car note, mortgage, personal loan with a fixed ending. Anything with a fixed ending is installment debt. Revolving debt is your credit cards, like I said. So the first thing I look at is your credit score. The second thing I look for is your revolving debt. If you have no revolving debt on your credit report, to me, that's a win. I'm like, if we have the means to put some revolving debt on this credit report, then we have the means to make this score grow, regardless of what's already on here. Installment debt are the big ticket items. You would think you would get more points for paying on a big ticket item, but actually no, because on the credit report, it's going to say your credit revolving utilization 70%, 60%. But when you look at it installment, it says NA, non-applicable, which means it's not hitting that algorithm. And we want to make that algorithm move. And then 10% is the type of new credit. So when you ask for credit and get credit, that's a good thing. If you keep asking for credit and keep getting denied, those are called a lot of inquiries, and they could have a negative impact on your credit score. They're not going to tell you what a lot of inquiries are, but inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. They're only factoring into your score for the first 12 months, and they're not really factored a whole lot. But if you're looking for a home and you're looking for a homeownership program and you have a 660 and an inquiry drops you down to 659 and you need that 660, that's important. So I don't downplay any points, but it's not a huge amount. Some folks like us worried about the inquiries, like it's not a huge amount in the grand scheme of things. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we are on top of our debt, we are on top of our revolving debt, and we want to keep our revolving debt balances low. If our limit is $1,000, you want to keep your balance. At first, it was 50% when I first started teaching credit. Then it was 30%. It's even less than that now. Fico, I just went to a Fico event. They don't even give it a percentage. They just say, having something is better than nothing. What does that mean? What are you talking about? So they want you to have a little balance. If you had 10% where you had 90% available, that's going to hit that algorithm even harder. But for me, start somewhere. If you're too close to your limit, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. And as you're bringing it down, your credit score is going to go up regardless of the information that's already on there, whether it be adverse or not. Credit works on what have you done for me lately, not I had great credit 2 years ago and look at me now. We want to see what are you doing now. Okay. So I want to pause here because I know this is a 2-hour workshop and I know you ladies not spending time with me for 2 hours. So I want to pause here if you have any questions on what makes up a credit score, what the credit, why is Credit Karma different than the Fico? Yes, it is, because they're running on a different algorithm. So the most important algorithm or the most important score to you is the score the lender is using. When you're looking for a home, they're looking at a tri-merge. They're going to put all 3 bureaus together and they're going to take out the high score, they're going to take out the low score, and they're going to run on that middle score. Okay, whatever that middle score is, it doesn't always have to be Equifax, doesn't always have to be Experian, it's what the middle score is. All right, so just keep that in mind. And when you're looking for a car, now Fico has 16 models within Fico. Okay, I look at a Fico score. Operation Hope, we do this free. I'm not credit repair. So let me get that wrong. I don't have anything against credit repair. Credit repair is for profit. Operation Hope is not for profit, meaning you're going to pay somebody to do something you can do yourself. Now, if I look at a credit and I feel like it's just out of my bandwidth, then I'll refer you to credit repair. But very rare does that happen. It's just you taking a chance or taking charge of what you want to do to make sure you keep that money that you're paying credit repair, keep that in your pocket and do it yourself. That's what we want to teach. When I look at a credit, when I pull a TransUnion credit report, there's no inquiry, and I'm providing a FICO score 8, which is pretty close to what a lender's looking at. So that's the service that I provide, and then I monitor. So if I ran your credit today on 4/20, and then we ran it again August 20th, then we'll know what happened. If I said we need to do this and you did that and your score jumped 50, 70, I've seen it jump 100 points in 3 months, literally, by just doing certain things, then we know it works. And that's what I mean. I stand behind what I do because I see it. I compare apples to apples. And I've been doing it for a minute. So next slide, please.
Yeah, actually, so Eric, we had some questions that popped up. So
okay, well, good. Because I'm not in the chat. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time, let alone read.
No worries. Yeah, we're teaming up.
Got it. Okay.
Our guest Erica said, "How is credit impacted by marriage or divorce?"
Oh, that's a great question. If you have anything by marriage, when you still have your credit and your spouse still has their credit. The only time it merges is when both of you establish credit together, and it's called joint. You have a joint account, a joint credit card, not authorized user. Authorized user is me putting Donia on as an authorized user. But me and Donia jointly have the same credit card, then we're joint. Same with a co-signer or co-borrower with the car. So during the marriage, if you're making joint accounts or co-signing, co-borrowing, those accounts can be impacted if the marriage didn't work, okay? Now, if you never did anything with your spouse and the marriage didn't work, then you still are unfazed by what because it didn't bleed over to you at all unless you put them on. I hope that answered your question. It's not like when you get married, if you don't put all the credit together. No, you still have your own. You're still your own person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right,
And
right.
great question, Erica. So we have another one from Anita. So Anita's question is, so regarding student loans,
Yes.
I'm graduating soon and have heard from other alumni that after paying off their loans, their score goes down. If it is your utilization going down, then why is that? And
No,
how
that's
long does it take to increase again?
okay. So I mean, like I said earlier, this is my opinion. I don't think that happens. Can't say it doesn't happen, but if you're paying off your student loan, that's an installment loan. It shouldn't go down because the installment's not included in that utilization as revolving debt, and you're paying off a loan. Why would you be penalized for paying off a loan? Okay, so that's just my opinion. I would have to see it. And congratulations on graduating. Congratulations on getting that student loan taken care of. That's amazing because that is not going away. All right, Uncle Sam will be there. That student loan will be there. And hopefully for those, as I kind of touch on student loans, who have a lot of student loans, don't think you cannot get a home because you have a lot of student loans. Okay, that's not true. Let the lender tell you. There are repayment programs out there. You call your servicer, you get on a repayment program, and you pay that every month, and that can help boost your score because you're making monthly payments. And make sure that if you're in deferment or in forbearance, because the date's been pushed back, I think it's supposed to be now in May or August when they're supposed to come out of because of the pandemic. A lot of student loans were put in forbearance. Make sure you keep an eye on that. But to answer that question again, I would have to see it to be able to explain it. But in my opinion, I don't think that you should be penalized or you're being penalized because you paid off an installment loan, unless you didn't have any kind of loan whatsoever. And still, that doesn't make sense to me. But we believe me, I have student loans professionals in my circle, and we argue about this or have nice conversations about this all the time. But I like to see it. So you kind of stumped me, but I'm just saying, let's take a look, watch it, and then you can call me up like, Eric, you was wrong. I paid off my student loan and my 700 went to 600. Then I'm like, okay, then next thing you know, I will never talk about it again. I'll have that information.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have another one, and I
Yes.
hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's Niambi. She said, can you please repeat the information about having large installments, but little to no revolving debt?
Okay, so large installments, you would think you would get more credit or more points for it because it's a big ticket item. But actually what's moving your credit score a lot is your revolving debt. And I'm talking about a $300 secure card. If you don't have anything, you put that on there and you can watch your credit grow immensely. Just on that, if you manage that $300 secure card right, within about 3 months, 4 months, your mailbox will change. You'll be getting solicitations. You've been pre-qualified for, pre-approved for credit cards. You just watch it because they know that if you have a secure credit card, they being the creditors, because the gain is the interest on the money you're paying. Has anybody been at Macy's, had cash in their hand, and the lady's gonna look you dead in your eye and like, do you want to use your Macy's credit card? I'm like, I have cash in my hand, but we'll give you an extra 15% off if you use your Macy's credit card. Now you start thinking like, well, I'll get 15% off. I don't have a Macy's credit card. Well, it only takes a second to apply. Just give me your information. We'll do it right now. Got a line behind you. They don't care. All right. So you get that Macy's credit card. You get that 15% off and you save that money. You put that cash back in your pocket and that bill comes. It's $80 and the minimum payment is $29. And you're like, all right, I pay $40 and I pay it off next month. They won just now because you're paying interest, whether it be $1, $2, they won. So that's why they want that interest. But to answer the question, revolving debt is the key to making your credit score go up. I don't say when somebody's looking to reestablish, or when I'm talking to the students or anybody, even my son, when he establishes credit, I don't say, let's go get a car, let's go get an installment debt or self-help debt loan. Let's go get a credit card and use that credit card and watch it happen. So that's my opinion, once again, but that's a great question. But, you know, definitely pay those big loans, because when you're looking for a like loan, if you have a car note and you're looking for another car note, even if you had hiccups on the credit report, they'll look at that car note and like, well, you never missed a payment on that car. They're likely to work with you. Same as a home, same is a small business loan. It just make sure you try to hit those big ticket items as you can.
Absolutely. Great answers. Thank you so much. And
Thank
great
you.
questions, everybody.
Yeah, great questions.
Keep the questions coming. Yes.
All right.
Hold on.
So I think, yes, this is one of the questions that everybody wants to know. How long does negative information stay on? What's the real deal? What's the real deal? And when I say real deal, I know real deal because I've been through real deal. Life has hit me. I've been garnished. I've been levied. I've been 700, 500. I'm back in the sevens. So, but I teach this along the way. And when I started with Operation Hope, I was in 700. Financial collapse hit in 08. And they penalized me for having too much credit. Sort of like what Brittany was going through. Not only did they didn't even close it, they just lowered my limit to balance, which lowered my ratio, which lowered my score. So I got a little upset. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. Guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to pay you at all. How did that go? Nah, that didn't work out at all. Zero. So then I went to, and then for me to be, when somebody would ask me, what's your credit score, Mr. Clay? And I'd like stick my chest out, it's 7, whatever. But then when it got into the 5s and somebody would ask in the workshops, because we had in-person workshops back then, what were your credit score? I would have to kind of shy away from it. What had happened was, but then I realized that let me learn. Let me, instead of hearing what happens with bill collectors and debt collectors, let me learn what they can do. And so I learned the hard way so I can able to teach it. So negative information stays on your credit report 7 years from the first time it becomes delinquent on your credit report. Not the first time you were late, but the first time it went 30 days late. You're not 30 days late until you're 30 days late. So if you missed your Macy's card right now, you don't have to stress. You're gonna pay $29, $35, whatever it is. And if you've never been late before, call them up and say, reverse that. And 99% of the time they'll reverse that, okay? If you are in a situation where you have to miss again, then that 30 days, after that 30 days becomes a 30-day late on your credit report, then a 60-day, then a 90, then a 120, 150, then they do what's called a charge off. But the time starts ticking from the very first time it went 30 days late on the credit report. So if you were late, say in 2012, and we're now 10 years later and it's still on your credit report, that's just a simple dispute letter. Please remove this outdated information from my credit report, and no hassle, no questions asked. Does it fall off? Yes. However, Uncle Sam does not fall off. Student loans, tax lien, child support, anything that's dealing with Uncle Sam wants his money or her money, however y'all want to look at it. Okay. So let me be clear on that. 7 years from the first time it was late. Now here's the caveat. They can't sue you after 4 years. They cannot sue you after 4 years. And what does that mean? That means that if you were late and it comes 4 years, all they can do is keep harassing you but they can't take you to court. And if they do take you to court, please show up. That means they summons you. That means they gave you a summons for a court appearance. Don't ignore that like I did, okay? Because they will go into your bank account and they will take your money. And you do not want to be looking at your bank account with stuff flying all off the wall and you not knowing. You call the bank and like, we're going to transfer you to the levy department. We don't want to hear that. And the bank is upset with you because the bank, when you give the bank your money, it becomes the bank's money. And the bank doesn't want anybody coming in there telling them what to do with their money. So now they're mad at you, the lender's mad at you mad at you, and they sit you they'll give you this. You had all the bells and whistles on your checking account, you know, overdraft protection, all that. They're like, we're going to give you the remedial checking account where you lucky you're still with us. And you have to sit there and abide by that. But here's the thing. They can't levy you again. They have to sue you again. They just can't keep going into your bank account. So if you feel like you are, and I used to call this double Dutch, if you feel like you are in the process of getting sued, then don't have any money in your bank account. They can take my $12.99 for my gym membership all they want. Okay. So these are the things that you have to look at, but it's really knowing if you've been summoned, then go and just let the court know that you can't pay, and they'll work something out right there. But to ignore it, you just gave the creditor or the lender ramshack of what they can do. And then also they can garnish your wages, and you don't want to have that HR conversation because now HR knows your business, and we don't want to have that. But if it does happen, it's life and we'll get through it, period, point blank, because sometimes we just can't help things. All right. So 4 years, can't sue you. 7 years, it falls off. And does it happen? Yes. Yes. I had my troubles in 2011 and 2018. I kept walking over my credit stuff, was falling off my credit report. Oops, that's another one. But here's the thing. Do you still owe these folks? Absolutely. Can they still call you? Absolutely. That's like me having a bet with Brittany about the Lakers 20 years ago, and I'm going to tell her, yeah, that was 20 years ago. It's 7 years. You don't owe me nothing. And she'd be like, you better give me my money. Okay, but they cannot put it back on your credit report. Okay, and they cannot garnish you, and they cannot levy you. But you still, I still have somebody. They try to send me something that on the interest, like they're gonna sue me on the interest that and it looked good. It looked like a summons. And I teach this. I'm like, oh, they got me. And I looked at it, I'm like, there's no court date on here. What am I talking about? Get out of here with that. But do I still owe these folks? Yes. But they should have never did what they did at first. Anyway. So here we go. I'm not trying to justify it, but it's that they can still come after us on the phone, but they can't do anything about it. Okay. Any questions on that? And then we have bankruptcies. We have Chapter 13. BK, I didn't talk about that years ago, but if there's a situation where you are just not going to be able to catch up with it, it is an option. I mean, you know, a lot of rich folks file for bankruptcy, so there must be something to it. But I wouldn't even talk about that years ago, because as I was growing up with my parents, the word bankruptcy was like the total, like, and it's like, Mom, no, it's not. It's just a wise move. Had I known what I know now, we always say that, had I known what I know now in 2004, 2005, I did BK, and I wouldn't even have to go through this, but then I wouldn't have learned what I learned now. So, but I would have learned about BK. So here we go. So, but the BK stays on 10 years after the filing date. Okay. You want to do a 7, a 13 is a partial bankruptcy. People were doing 13 for the mortgage crisis because that was like a stay of execution to keep their home. A 7 wouldn't do it, something like that. But if you're going to do it, do a 7. And civil judgments are when you've been sued, evictions, once it hits the credit report, 7 years from filing date. So these are certain things that fall off. And I look at that and I look at the date and I will help you with that. Operation Hope, I'll create the dispute letter, but you have to mail them off. That's what we do. So I do what credit repair does per se, but we just don't charge. And like I said, I'm not knocking credit repair at all. Lexington Law does what they do in some other places. So.
And Eric, before we go to the next slide, we do have another question. Anita asked, so the statute of limitations is 4 years. And
yes, in California, different states, my bad. California, I think you asked that.
And she said, so, and it falls off after 7. So there's just a 3-year period where they can come after you. That was
no, I mean, they can't sue you, but it's there because it's past the statute of limitations. But best believe they're going to be crafty and articulate in their correspondence because they know that time's coming. All right. Now, here's what happens when people think, okay, Macy's had this. Now it's with the collection agency. Okay. Does that 7 years start all over from that collection agency? No, it's 7 years from Macy's. And any collection agency that has that, they have to come off with it because it's going to say on the credit report, purchased by another lender, and the collection agency is going to say original creditor was Macy's. So we're going to dispute that. All right. And sometimes there'll be a balance. It's purchased by another lender, but there'll still be a balance on Macy's and it'll be up in collections. They can't double dip that. So that's a dispute right there. And I'm going to dispute both of them. This is inaccurate. This is inaccurate information on my credit report. Please remove this inaccurate information from my credit report. Something wording like that and send it in and see what happens. So you want to be mindful of that. All right. So
thank you.
The difference between a collection account and a charge off. So that same scenario, you went 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120, 150, they charged you off, which means, let's just stick with Macy's. Macy's is taking a loss. They're taking an L. They just can't have open debt sitting on their books. They have to close their books. Anybody who went to accounting knows we have to close our books out. So we have to debit and credit. And So they have what's called allowances for doubtful accounts. We're going to put that in. We're going to debit whatever amount it is. We're going to credit that. Now we can close our books. We've taken an L, but this is still on. You still owe Macy's, let's say $1,500. So what a collection agency will do, they'll come along and say, hey, Macy's, that $1,500 debt, I'll give you $300. Let me have that $1,500 debt. Macy's is like, any money now, since I've already taken a loss, is now profit. Whether it be 300, 200, 400, give me my 300, have the debt. So we sell the debt to AAA collection agency. Now AAA, now we owed 15, AAA is going to come after us for 17 or 16. Can they do that? Absolutely. Why can they do that? Because you said it was okay when you signed the agreement form. You said it was fine. You said it was fine for Macy's to raise your limit, lower your limit, close your account. You said it was fine. If they don't get paid, they can sell this money to a third party entity and they can have at it. And you said, okay. So a lot of credit repairers will say, well, you never had a relationship with AAA collection agency. We're going to write a letter for that, which is cool. I understand that. But in essence, you did when you signed it with Macy's. The agreement's right there. So they come after it for 17. Now you've been getting mail from Macy's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You're used to it. You see Macy's trash, Macy's trash, Macy's trash. Then you get a letter that you haven't seen. Now, most folks, when they get a letter, they don't know what it is. They're going to open it up and it makes it look like AAA is going to take everything from you for a little $1,500 debt, $1,700 debt. My thing is this, we're not going to pay you either. So here's the game. When you're dealing with these folks. Now, when you're dealing with these folks, understand these folks on the other side of the call, that's their job. All of us, I'm assuming, whatever we do, we want to be good at what we do, whatever we work at. So I want to be good at being a bill collector. Now, I got a boss who's on my back saying, hey, Mr. Clay, you're not collecting on 10. Your goal is 10 a month. You get the same amount of leads as the person sitting next to you, the person across you. They're collecting your 10. You're pulling 4 every month. That seat you're sitting in is representing money. We can put somebody in that seat that can get 10 if you can't get 10. So now you're under pressure. So you're going to work with that pressure. Then you're going to think about your day. You're going to get lied to, cussed out, screamed at, hung up on because you're asking for money. So your day is already not good, but they're still human beings. And they still can do a lot for us. For our sake, we know we want to take care of this, but we're not paying 17 because we wasn't paying 15. So what do? We have a conversation as a human being. We try to get to that human being side of it because they can do a lot for us. So the conversation should go like, hey, I don't even know how this got to be like this. My bad. We're never going to tell them we need this off because we want to buy a home. Or we're not going to say we need this off at all. Because if we need this off, they don't have to negotiate at all. We're just going to tell them, hey, didn't know it got to be like this. On their line, they're thinking like, ooh, I can get a collection that can help toward my goal. And on your end, you're like, I can get this down from 15 to whatever they're going to offer. So you let them make the offer. Okay. They're going to ask you where you're working now. You can say you're in between jobs. You didn't lie. You're in between your car and your job. We don't know. They don't know. Okay. So let them make the offer. They offer 7. I don't have 7. I have 6. And then you're going like, that's how the conversation, but whatever you come up with, always get it in writing and always ask for payment for deletion because a lot of the creditors, collection agencies now are making the whole thing go away. I've done it. I know it. A lot of them aren't, but a lot of them are as well. Okay. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. So we want it in writing and we want it, see if we can get a deletion, payment for deletion. Okay. And then we don't want to pay them with a personal check because a personal check has what? Our routing number, our name, and our account number. I don't know about you, but I'm not really feeling giving a debt collector my routing number and account number. Because if they went rogue, they got access to my stuff. I mean, H&R Block went rogue one day, and that's your tax person. And that's like, wow. So we just have to be careful, which toward the end of the presentation, we want to be careful about identity theft. So that's basically how a charge-off goes to a collection and how we can negotiate with the collection agency to get what we want to get it off. Because remember, in the beginning, we owed 15. Our credit has already ran its course. They can't keep dinging us for the same credit. After a while, even if it's an adverse item sitting on your credit report, it's not affecting your credit score. It's not going to drop your credit score. Otherwise, we would have negative credit scores, and none of us have negative credit scores. After a while, it just sits there as, yes, it needs to be taken care of. If we're trying to do something, yes, it doesn't look good, but it's really not affecting your credit. Which leads me to say, if you had a chance to pay off a $300 collection account or start your credit life off new, please start your credit off new. And that's going to raise your score, even with that collection account sitting on it. And two things I want to talk about: medical bills are the absolute last thing we're going to take care of. This has been going on for about 3 years now, where they keep saying maybe 4 years, medical shouldn't even be on the credit report. We're not calculated, but I keep seeing it on the credit report. So that means it's an issue. So medicals will be the last thing you take care of. Nobody signed up for an ambulance ride. Nobody signed up to go to ER. And if you went to ER, that means you went to the emergency. And the last thing you're thinking about is your copay. And it's easy to forget about, that. Next thing you know, you're getting a copay put on your credit report. So that's the last thing we're going to do. Student loans, that's an investment in yourself. It's not a service. It's an investment in yourself. And you graduate, you have 6 months to jump on these student loans. 6 months goes by fast. We're already close to May of 2022. We didn't get 2021. We didn't get 2020. Those are 2 years that we can't get back. That's how fast time moves. So we got to be mindful of that. All right. So just keep everything in perspective. Those are things you're going to take care of last. The first thing you want to do when you're reestablishing your credit is to get that revolving debt and use it wisely. Leave a balance. You're going to hear this from other people. Use it, pay it all off. Use it, pay it all off. I am going to sit there and say, no, use it, leave a little. I don't care if it's a $5 balance, a $7 balance. And believe me, $2 interest, $1 interest, that's your money. I'm not spending your money at all. I don't know you. But I want to say you got to pay to play this game. If you use it and pay it off, use it and pay it off. You got credit for using it or for getting it. Remember, we talked about the new credit, but you're not using it, so there's no history. And you want to hit that algorithm as a credit history. Those ones that if people have looked at their credit report, you have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and a 2 is going to be a 30-day late. A 3 is going to be a 60-day late. But you want all those ones or the C's, whatever they're using, you want that to be across the board. And the only way you get that is to have these balances, just a little balance. I know, it's like Eric got us out here spending money and leaving balances, but this is how it works. When you're trying to increase your credit, if you're already in 800s, by all means, 750s, use it, pay it all off. You are not on this, you are not in trying to rebuild. Now, some folks say, Eric, I want to go from 750 to 800. I'm like, okay, that's high class situation. Do you? But I'm trying to help folks who really are in the 500s to get to 6 and the 6 to get to 7s. All right, but I'm going to tell you the same thing. I'm going to tell them, this is what you have to do. So I was just talking about this in this slide. When you're rebuilding credit, protect against identity theft. We talked about that. Be very careful of who you're giving your information to. As I don't even ask for social security numbers. And if I do have social security, if I emailed your credit report, I always block that off, that pertinent information, those numbers off anyway. Dispute inaccurate information, please, by all means. The addresses, names you have never gone by, aka this. Those really don't impact your score, but you want your credit to mirror exactly who you are. All right. Settle accounts. We talked about that. Prioritize what debt to pay off first. That's sitting down and saying, I want to pay off my revolving, because that's going to impact my credit score the most. Establish credit. Now, here's something that I always get about authorized user. I kind of mentioned it earlier. When somebody will add you, so like parents would add their kids to their credit and start their credit life off. That's cute. I understand that, and that helps the percentage. But when you're looking for a loan, then it's going to be like, that's not you, because it's going to say authorized user. Show me what you're doing. Show me what you're doing. And back in the day, it would help you a lot. But as we go through these algorithms, when they started coding it, authorized user, individual user, joint user, the algorithm hits harder for individual than it does for authorized user. Now, you have the history, I understand that, but anybody's going to see I'm 18 years old. I couldn't have had a credit card 16 years ago. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm not knocking it, but I would encourage people to get their own, start with their own, and move from there. Okay. Don't close your accounts. If you have good accounts, Ms. Brittany, if you have good accounts, don't close your account, because 15%, which is significant in the grand scheme of things, is taken away. Now, if you had an account for a year and you didn't, because some of these credit cards that you start out with, if you're trying to reestablish, they're horrible. 26%, 0.9 interest rate. Some of them have an annual fee. They're horrible. But we have to start somewhere. We're not going to start with the MasterCard Black Card. We're just not. We have to start somewhere. And if we have an annual fee, we've only had the credit card and we're getting other credit cards without the annual fee, then go ahead and close that account because it's not hitting your, I mean, you hadn't even had it a year. And it doesn't make sense to keep that. First Premier, garbage. Okay, I'm just some of them. I'm just letting you know. Horrible. But what I suggest is Capital One, not the best, but it's a shot that I give somebody if their credit's marginal and they don't have revolving debt. I said, let's just try Cap One without spending any money. Okay, and Cap One usually within 5 minutes online, they'll come back and say, yes, you've been approved for a 500 limit. Your credit card will be here in 7 to 10 days. And if you didn't get it, then I say you didn't. Unfortunately, we can't, but here's some credit cards we have. Then we have to get a secure card. A secure card is where you pay your money, 200, 300, 400, 500. The average is about 300. You pay your money and they give you a credit card, but you funded your own credit, okay? And then you use it wisely in about 12 months. Some of them 6, depends. Some of them about 12, 13 months. They'll take whatever balance that you had, they'll give you that balance back and they'll open it up to an unsecured card, raise your limit, and that's how you know you've been doing good. So that's a secure card, but I'd rather you not spend any money trying to establish it than just assuming that you have to get a secure card. But there's ways to do that. Okay. Any questions right now? I know I went through a lot in a little bit of time. We're rounding. We got about 9 minutes. And if we are in a situation where we feel like we're being harassed, these are some of the places you go to know your rights. Okay. But here's the thing, debt collectors are going to stretch it because they figure if you can't afford your bills, you can't afford an attorney. So they're going to do what they're going to do on their end. There's some things they can't do. A bill collector can't call us before 8 in the morning, or they can't call after 9 at night, and they will stretch you. They can't say borrow some money from a friend or family member. They can't say that. They have to stick to their script. And if you're having a situation where you feel like they're being unfair, just let them know you are recording this conversation yourself. Even though they're telling you in the beginning this conversation is being recorded, let them know you're recording it and watch them get that quick can of act right real quick. Okay, so we have rights.
Good way to put it.
We can't be harassed. So here we are to the question and answer portion.
And we have quite a few. We have quite a few for you, Eric. So
okay,
Tangela is asking, is it wise to put a freeze on your account to prevent identity theft?
Yes, if you feel like you've been compromised, please do. You can call, if you call one bureau, they should do it across all 3. But here's the thing, when you do that, best believe you better remember everything you did because it's going to be hard for you to get back in it. Okay. So yeah, just make sure that this is, you remember whatever password, whatever you use, whatever to get back in it so you can get back in it and nobody can run your credit. I've had that happen a lot where I want to run your credit and I go to pull the credit and the person forgot they had to freeze. Then they have to call it and lift it so I can run it and they put the freeze right back on. They lift it for 24 hours. But yeah, that's a good way to protect yourself against identity theft.
Got it. The next one is Anaja. What credit card do you recommend first starting off?
If you have, okay, let me answer it. Like if you had no credit or if you're trying to reestablish right off the bat?
Let's assume just starting off.
Just starting off.
What would be a good one to start off with? And then we can say maybe reestablishing.
Okay, so a good one to start off with, not even a good one. A credit card to start off with would be Capital One. For the students at Compton College, I encourage them to go on for a student credit card. Student credit card, Discover had a decent one where it didn't give you any interest for the first 16 months. I want to say that right, something like that, first 16 months, and then they gave you a $500 limit, and then from there you rolled. All you just need is one, whatever one you can get, but stay away from the ones that have the high interest, like anything above 27, and ones that have the annual fee, because those are the ones that'll get you. You feel you paid this credit card off, and next thing you know, you missed a payment. You're 30 days late on an $8 charge. Like, how did that happen? I paid this off. Well, we prorated your annual fee and we charged you $8 for the month, but you never told me this. So we got to be careful. So to answer your question, I would try, if you had any credit, I would try your bank first, credit union first, and then try to go from there. Because if you don't have any credit, then there's inquiry. If you don't have credit, so there's no such thing as inquiry yet. You don't have to. So,
all right.
Good question.
Next question. Angela asks, which credit card has the best benefits for 800 plus credit?
Oh, your bank. That's a great question. Because like take Chase, for instance. Chase has a Freedom card, the Sapphire card. So the better your credit, the better opportunities you have with your particular bank, where you have 5% back on airfare, 3% back on food, restaurants, merchandise. So you just that's if you're like that, then you are at their mercy. You walk in like, what can you do for me? Otherwise I walk. And then let them come up with the perks. So I like the black card. The black card seems to be, for lack of a better term, it's like if you pull that out, people are like, "Ooh, look at that." That's just flossing, though. And that question's a flossing question, okay? I love it, but we're not going Fico score trip, as we say, Fico score ego over here. We got 800. I love it. So
got some flossiness in the house.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, y'all are AKAs. Why not? I should expect nothing less. Okay.
All right, we have another one. Nadira, do you recommend having more than one credit card?
Okay, beautiful question. When you're looking for a home, a lender wants to see 3 open lines of credit. Do they? I mean, this is the standard. Can they work around it? Of course. But if you have 3, whatever kind of 3 you have, credit card, gas card, car note, whatever you have, they want to see 3 open lines of credit for themselves. If you don't have it, then if you are strong in the other aspects of the homeownership, meaning you have good savings, you have good job tenure, and you have a great credit score, but you only have 2 lines of credit, best believe they'll work around that. But 3 is kind of like the base.
Got it. Okay. This one kind of expands on what you mentioned about an authorized user and kids. This one is, do you recommend putting your minor child on your best and longest credit card to help them establish excellent credit? I
don't recommend that because you have to be 18 to start your credit life. So anything before that is just doesn't mean anything, in my opinion.
Got it.
Yeah, got it. That's a good question though. But if they're in college, if they're coming out and they're in college, encourage them to try to get that student credit card. And what you're going to use for that student credit card is your student email address. Okay, so when I try to get my son his started, went to Macy's. Macy's is like Kick Rocks. I'm like, okay. Then we went to Compton, because I took him to Compton with me, and then he used his Compton EDU, and we used the financial aid as his income because they want to see some sort of income in there. And but you're a student, and then you see the student ID, discovered, boom, gave him that. Went back to Macy's. Macy's is like, okay, yeah. After a few months, went back to Macy's. Macy's is like, yeah, we'll mess with you. And then I said, okay, for you to understand this even better, you want to go to Best Buy, you want to go get a flat screen TV, go in there and apply for it on credit. He walked out with a flat screen TV. He was like so happy. He's like, I did not know I had this much power. I'm like, yes, sir. Now you have to be responsible with it because the power you have can be taken away if you don't use it responsibly. So we have to, which means that people, everybody on here that has a niece, nephew, son, daughter, friends, kick that knowledge of importance of credit as they're coming up, please. Please, please, please. I sat down. My son was with his friends, and I just happened to mention something about credit. And one of my son's friends said, "My mama said I don't need credit." I'm like, "Well, your mama's wrong. Have your mama call me." And I sat down with them, and then my son's like, "Oh my God, here we go. Please, just let this man get out the house." Because I would. This is 10:30 at night, and I'm having a full-on, in-depth conversation about the importance of credit, because it not only for when we want something, but employers are looking at it, okay? When we're looking for apartments, they're looking at credit scores, even though we're not credit score driven, but we want to make sure our narrative shines. We want to be able to walk in a car dealership with some flip-flops and shorts on with no money in our pocket. And I'll take that one. Here's my credit and bring me a donut when you come back. That's what we want.
That's the real power. There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, now who's flossy though?
Hey, that wasn't even me though. I told you about what I went through. I'm just lucky to be on the call. I'm just lucky you ladies are listening to me. But yeah, that's the style. So, but that's what we want to do. We want to be able to have that, and that's just understanding at a young age. When I came out of high school, I went to Prairie View A&M University, and they had a table when they said mark off these credit cards, and I marked it for. I didn't have a job, so I started my credit off like backwards. So.
Got it.
All right.
It looks like we have
great questions. These are great questions.
These are great questions. It looks like we have one more. Is it better to pay your credit card balance in full every month, or try to keep the utilization being under 10%?
I love the under 10%. I'm going to defer to that, yes. But if you already have an excellent credit score, then by all means pay it off every month. But if you're looking to build your credit score, that 10% is excellent. That's an excellent target. And although you're paying interest on that 10%, it's not a lot. Once again, not spending anybody's money, but we have to pay to play this game to get our credits where we need to get it. But once we get it there, then we can pay it all off. We can be debt free. Absolutely. Those are great questions.
Got it. Got it. And I'm over in the chat. There's a few more that are over here really quick.
Yes, I'm good.
Right. What is a good interest rate on a credit card for someone with a good/very good credit score?
Anywhere between 9 and 11.
Okay.
9, try to shoot for 9.
Mhm.
Okay, if you can negotiate that down lower, that's fine. But single digits is kind of rare. But if you have that strong credit and you have that strong tenure with that creditor, then by all means ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. Pick up the phone and ask. Okay, ask. If you are a good credit, you have a good credit rating and you are doing well, and it's a tenured credit line, call them up and say, "What can you do for me?" Just like when we said, reimagine your cell phone. You've been AT&T for 20 years. You hear these commercials, all these new programs coming in. Well, what are you doing for existing customers who've always paid their bills on time? Hook me up. I've been here. So it's just about the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. We have
We have quite a few. If you just scroll up, there's about 3 more before that one.
Got it. Okay, here's another one. What is the impact to your credit when the company closes our accounts for no usage, but you kept it open to prevent impact to credit?
Well, you took off that 15% of that tenured account that goes towards that algorithm every month. Okay, you took that away. But when Ms. Brittany when we were talking, it's like, what do you want to do? You want to try to open it back up, and then Ms. Brittany's like, well, that's an inquiry, but they should be able to do it without an inquiry. It should be a soft pull. They can do a soft pull just to look at it. There's a lot of companies, a lot of banks that are doing soft pulls. So if you've been pre-qualified for a card at your credit union, that's not a hard pull. That's actually a soft pull. And they said, based on what we see, based on what you're doing, here's a check for 60 grand, go to the car dealership, and here's the interest rate that we can do for you. So that's a soft pull. So if they closed it and you want it back, see if they can open it. And then, why did they close it for non-usage? And you were misinformed that you didn't think it would be closed, because good information should stay on your credit report as long as it's good information. It's the negative information that falls off your credit report. That's a good question.
Got it. What about, is there interest on a secured card?
Yes, it's the same. It's a secured card. It's about 26%. It's horrible. Like, you're paying money and you're paying interest. But remember, if we need a secure credit card, that means we're trying to assimilate our credit to be good where we don't need it. So don't feel bad about it. I did it. It's like I had to start somewhere. Okay. And even if you file for bankruptcy, they are already sending you credit cards because it's public information. They're already sending you these credit cards to reestablish your credit right away. So the interest rate's going to be about 25, 24, 26%.
Okay. This one is it a good idea to sign up with Experian or Equifax credit monitoring program? Any
monitoring program, as long as it's free, it's gonna be good. Because if there's a certain inquiry that you didn't know about, they'll alert you, and those alerts are good. Even Credit Karma, the credit score for Credit Karma might not be as accurate as you want it to be, but the bells and whistles that come with Credit Karma, they're not bad. So any type of alert, as long as it's free, that will help you. And they provide you a score every month too. They give you the Equifax simulator, so you get some perks with the program. If you want to pay more or pay a membership fee, you get a lot of perks. But there's people out there who are doing it for free, I believe.
Got it. Well, first of all, we want to thank you so much. We want to thank everyone for attending. Those are all the questions that we had. But if you have other questions, we want you to reach out to Eric directly. Here is his number. We'll leave the screen up for just a second. So we appreciate you attending this evening. We do have a survey slide right after this, so please do not log off. But we definitely want to just leave this up here for a second to make sure you have his email, contact information, give him a call, make sure that you get your needs addressed for yourself, for your family, that you continue this conversation on credit with him, with us, with your loved ones. It's really important that we have these conversations. because for too long, things just go on us making assumptions about
Right.
how to use money, and then we end up doing it incorrectly. So please definitely take down his information. And then also please make sure, please scan our QR code, go ahead and take our survey. This just gives us feedback about what other types of programs you would like to have, what other topics you'd like to hear about, and what you felt was successful from today. And obviously what you'd like to hear more about. So once again, we just like to thank Eric so much for just your time, your knowledge, the energy that you brought this evening. It was all very, very, very helpful. I know I definitely learned a lot, and I can tell the people in the chat did as well.
I thank you for the opportunity just to talk. Like I said, this is my opinion. You can Google how do you raise your credit score online. People or you could YouTube it. People go to YouTube University all the time. So thank you for that. And if I was totally out the ballpark, call me up and be like, you are so wrong. And I'll correct that, because I always learn when I do these as well. I like to learn. I like to sharpen my craft. I'm very passionate about what I do with credit. And I will sit there and listen to credit experts, and I'm like, that's not correct because of what I see and what I do. But they can say the same about me. But thank you, ladies, for your time and energy. And let's remember, stress is not on the menu. Let's stop ordering it. Okay.
I know that's right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you,
All right,
Eric.
ladies.
And
Have a
thank you
good
so much.
and happy 420 to those who do that. All right. I didn't want
Right. And on that note.